Hey Sebastien, another show, another Namm, and this one's a big one for you guys, right?
It is. It's a big one, announcing MiniBrute 2. I've been working really hard on this one, to be frank, so it's amazing to finally see it here, to show it to people. So far the reception has been really great. So we're showing all these new instruments, the MiniBrute 2. We have the MiniBrute 2S alongside. We have the RackBrute 3U right here, and let me just pick the other one from there. This is the RackBrute 6U. So your rack cases, you can put them in different configuration. This is one of them. I can have it stand up if I prefer, like this. And I can also attach them to the MiniBrutes, as you can see over here, where they can be tied.
And this is the link system, right?
Yeah, we call it the link system, and it's basically just a fixation system of two units together. It could be one MiniBrute 2S and a RackBrute 3U, or kind of any configuration. You won't connect the MiniBrute 2 and the MiniBrute 2S together, but as long as there is one rack involved, the other one can be anything. Rack 3U, Rack 6U, MiniBrute 2, MiniBrute 2S.
They must be going to make like a RackBrute, an actual MiniBrute 2 voice to go in a rack, right?
Yeah.
So you can tell us that's true, right?
Well, having this in a rack, well, we thought about it, and well, it takes 84 HP of space, roughly. So it's like buying one case just to put the MiniBrute in, and the price would be remotely what you get with the MiniBrute 2 or MiniBrute 2S. So for now, we skipped it. It seemed like a better idea. At some point, we even thought about having this be able to be removed, so you could put modules in here, and then you have problems with height and how big the product would be.
Blue sky thinking, right?
Well, you try all the combinations, and then you try to reduce to what makes most sense. So it's already 4 different instruments, 2 instruments and 2 racks plus a bag. So it's enough for now. I don't know what the future will tell.
So I've been hearing a lot about the fact that this isn't just like a MiniBrute stuck with a few extra features. There's quite a lot of redesign, new oscillator structure.
To give you the story, the idea at first was I had to design kind of the extension of the MiniBrute, and my idea was to move closer to the Eurorack word, to make it a bit more modular. But in the beginning, it was mainly just adding a few patch points here and there, and some of the feedback, internal and external, was that it didn't make enough sense. So we had to add more to make it a new full instrument. So now we have something with 2 oscillators. MiniBrute only had 1. This one has secondary oscillator, which is great because it gives you all these FM sync patches plus just detune or chords.
And is it the same oscillator, or has it been tweaked?
So the first oscillator is very similar to what we have on the MiniBrute. The main difference is, well, here you have FM. Ultraso is very similar. The big difference is the metalizer, where let me see if I'm not like this.
Yeah.
So compared to the other Brute instruments, the metalizer has let's say the tone is mellower. It's not as harsh and metallic as the other Brute. It was a choice because we wanted to have CV control, and like most of the time when we did sharp envelopes or audio rate modulation, it would sound a bit nasty and hard to control. So we kept it more.
The original Brute is quite brittle sounding. This sounds a lot smoother, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah. So that's the main difference on VCO1. VCO2 is, well, I would say it's pretty basic. It's just the tune control and 3 waveforms that you can choose from between square, the sawtooth, and sine wave. The kind of original stuff is that you have 3 tuning options between fine, which gives you 1 octave below and 1 above, all, which gives you 8 octaves. And LFO, it's a sub audio rate, but it works great when you use it as a modulation source, because kind of the idea was to have this complex oscillator plus modulation oscillator that you often find in the West Coast design of synthesizers.
Absolutely. And what about the gain structure and the mixer and stuff? Is that different? I mean,
the what?
The mixer, the VCA.
So the VCA. So the oscillator mixer is quite similar. You still get an external input, a noise. the filter is it was a bit redesigned compared to the other brutes. Especially what we wanted to have was to have more resonance in low and high frequencies. So now you can do things like a kind of kick. Kind of these kick drum type of sounds, which was more difficult to do with the MiniBrute. The amplifier section, you still get the brute factor, slightly different sound. The main difference is the MiniBrute and MicroBrute are pretty brute-ish because you get this distortion when you start raising the volumes of oscillators above 50%. You can still get very mellow tones with the MiniBrute and MicroBrute, but you can really distort the instrument. Once you start having 2 or 3 oscillators, we had the same problem with the Matrix Brute where everything sounds messy if it's distorted
really
within
hard,
the VCA. Yeah. So we had to kind of keep things more under control, have more headroom, so rethink a bit the gain staging. So things may sound a bit cleaner, you can still get distorted sounds. The brute factor is a great way to add more of that harshness, but overall I would say that the tone is more controlled.
Yeah, it seems mellower, doesn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
So you've got all this like hooked up together. So I'm presuming, is it going to make some sound for us? You're going to give us some of your
I can
magic?
have it make some sound. I will just cover just one more thing. Is this, which is a huge difference compared to the MiniBrute, is having so many inputs and outputs via patch points to control the instrument. Initially, it was kind of more a fixed architecture. On this one, it's a semi-modular architecture, which means that it produces sounds without plugging a single cable, and we tried to connect the things that made the most sense together. So envelopes where you need them, LFOs where you need them, FM between the 2 oscillators, that kind of things. And then the user can break those default connection and reorganize the instrument any way he wants using patch cables. So yeah, I don't know, let's have a listen to. So now I have just one oscillator and the other one is doing FM with in LFO. I'm gonna start with an FM patch. Bring in the metalizer. Maybe I'll use a patch cable to use the envelope, the AD envelope to control the metalizer amount. So. And I will remove the AD envelope from the VCA. So use the ADSR for both filter and VCA using another cable. So now I have an envelope on the metalizer and an FM patch. You can add a bit of resonance. Bring in second oscillator. Maybe I want to kill the second oscillator from the pitch control, so just remove it here.
Yeah, it gets you there pretty quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, if I had to say that the biggest difference between MiniBrute, MicroBrute, and this one is how much you can experiment with sounds. You can do great sounds with MiniBrute and MicroBrute. This one gives you a lot more room for experimentation, and it's especially true once you start connecting your rack stuff. For instance, you can already do lots of stuff with self-patching, using a bunch of cables, and once you start plugging other stuff from the outside, things get messy, man.
Yeah. So, and the sequencers are really great addition as well.
Yeah.
So this is kind of seems based on almost the drum brute kind of vibe.
I would say more from Beatstep Pro. So on this one, on the keyboard version, the sequencer is extremely close to what we did on Keystep, which was by itself inspired by the MicroBrute and previously by the SH101 type of sequencer of just can see our remove node. can also just re-record in real time. I can add more note at the end of the sequence. So let's say like a great way to quickly bring out ideas in terms of melodies and experimentation. On the MiniBrute 2S, we went further with what the sequencer can do. If I had to compare the two, it's less instant in how you produce melodies, because, well, a keyboard is a great way to bring out melodies.
Sure.
But having steps that you can use, well, let's go back to, as you can use at the keyboard with octave control, is great, and then it can also be used as steps. So now I have my steps.
Yeah, so you can tune the note like you can with each step.
So you can change the notes. You can change so you can change the slide. Kind of bring in a different amount of slides for each track. You have a gate control. Hold on, how can I do that? I can make some notes shorter. Changing the gate. I can also record in real time. Can record in real time. There is a velocity track and a pressure track. So anything I press on the pads, both velocity at which I press and the pressure will be recorded.
So you can take that out and modulate something with it.
Yeah. Well, on the modular, by default, velocity is connected to the amount of metalizer, and the pressure is open to the filter. But once again, because it's a semi-modular, you can take out these two outputs and just plug it to anything you want. And one extra feature I will mention on this is that those last two tracks, you can actually decide the type of track that you want. So I hold this and turn this, and I can set different type. So if we'll have a look, it could be a secondary track of pitch, so I could do two.
So you can set the resolution, so you can have a CV resolution as well as right.
You choose the type of CV output that it generates. So it could be like a gate signal is just like it rises and then it falls. A CV is like a, let's say, constant at quantized values. But
that's great because the velocity, I used to on the BeatStep Pro, I use the velocity to control, but it's not scaled in the same way.
It's not scaled, and in that case, you could, instead of velocity, you could choose pitch or gate if you want to like sequence the two envelopes separately, or velocity, as I said. You can also do some unquantized voltages between 1 volt of range or 8 volt envelopes, where each time you have an active state, it will generate an envelope rising and falling. So, and I can set the length of the decay. I can set the length of the attack. So now I have like a, I don't know. Let's patch this to the pitch. I have an envelope.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's really powerful. Yeah.
So for each step you can do envelopes at different rates. You can also do Lfos, where anytime it reaches an active step, it will change the speed of the Lfos. So you can kind of do, let's say, wobble patches, for instance, like wow, 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 that kind of stuff easily, and of course a lot more than that. I think that sums it up pretty nicely. I talked about all the integration with the RackBrute, how everything is tied together. There will be a bag where you can fit the two together.
Everybody likes some luggage though, don't they, right? Yeah. So these are available now, aren't they? Can you buy them in the shops?
Not exactly. They're being produced. They will be available by end of February everywhere in the world. Maybe some will get them earlier, maybe a bit later, but overall they will be shipped at that time. Pricing on those, €649, $699 for the MiniBrute 2 and MiniBrute 2S, €249, $249 for the RackBrute 3U, and €349, $399 for the RackBrute 6U.
Sebastien, as ever, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.